Alright guys, how you doing? We're gonna do kale soup or Portuguese soup or Caldo Verde, whatever you want to call it. When I was growing up we always called it Portuguese soup, and I grew up in New England, so this may not be traditional to how everybody's used to making it, but this is how I grew up with it being made, so this is how I make it. So it's obviously starting with a pan of water. I'm going to use split peas as a base, and I've seen other videos, I've seen other people make this stuff. They don't do it this way. I do it this way. So this is how I always start it. And I'm going to do two different versions of this. I'm going to put it on the stove and get that up to a boil. Half the people in my house are vegetarian and half the people in my house are carnivores. So I'm going to do two versions of this at the same time. So now that the water got boiling, we're going to put a little salt on there. You want to wait till the water's boiling before you put the salt. I'm putting a good amount of salt. I want those split peas to break down because we're going to disintegrate them. We're just going to turn them into like liquid, and that's going to be the base for our soup. So we're going to put a cover on that. We're going to check it in about a half hour, and this is probably about a half hour, 30 minutes or so. And you can see it's starting to break down. We got quite a ways to go here yet, but I just wanted to show you the different versions. And actually I did a lot of prepping in between because, you know, you have 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, but I'm not going to show it to you that way. I'm just going to show you how we get that broth up to speed here. So now this has been going about an hour. I'm putting in 3 cups of water, and I'm going to put in about half a cup of vegetable broth. You don't have to do that. I do that. You can just put in the 3 cups of water, but basically this thing's been, you know, at a good strong simmer for an hour or so. So we've lost a lot of the water. So we're just gonna, you know, stir that back up, and as you can see, it's almost there. You can still see some of the split peas. We don't want any. We want it liquefied, so we put some more liquid in there. We'll stir it up. We'll put the cover back on, and we'll move on to the other stuff while that's finishing up. I mean, it's probably got another 15-20 minutes to go. I use hot chopped peppers, or crushed red pepper is what we always called it growing up, but that's not what it says in the jar. My sister Tina gave me that for Christmas, and that's awesome because I live in the southeast now, and it's very hard to find here. But I can mail away for it. But she sent it to me for Christmas, so there you go. And I'm using a heaping tablespoon. You know, more or less to taste, but that's not gonna burn you out of the market. That's a good dose right there. Okay, and I put a bunch of black pepper in there. That's what I was doing before. And we're gonna stir that up, and you can see the little red specks in the base here. Look at that. That's beautiful. That's what you're looking for. This is some good stuff. And now we're going to move on to the carnivore section, because this is made traditionally with chorizo, and that's a Portuguese sausage. That's not chorizo, the Spanish sausage. You can use any Portuguese sausage, a chorizo or a linguine. I've even made this with, believe it or not, turkey kielbasa, but it's it's nothing like it should be. But here's chorizo, and there actually is a market. It's about 30 miles from my house, so I actually traveled out there just to get this. I live in a rural area of the southeast, and we're going to do kind of a rustic version of this. So that's how I'm going to chop the chorizo. I'm not going to get any smaller than that. We're not going to crumble it up, and that's just about right. I mean, that's the size of the pieces you want. Now, because I'm making 2 separate ones, you don't have to do this. You can just make a carnivore version, just make a vegetarian version. I'm just making both. You know, we have 2 and 2 in the house. But for a separate pan, it's the same, approximately the same size as the other pan. I put a little extra virgin olive oil in there, and I'm going to brown up the chorizo. So we're going to stir it up pretty good. Excuse me. Get a good coating on it. And I think I turned up the heat a little bit. Put a cover on it, give it a few minutes. I'm showing you everything rather than just talking all the way through everything. Give it another stir. Sorry, I had to pause and come back from the recording of this because something popped up on my screen and I couldn't see anything. Well, there you go. And cover on, cover off, cover on, cover off. We're doing the pan hokey pokey, I guess, over here with this. So hopefully I'll put in some polka music. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not putting in polka music. But that's browned pretty good. That's what we're looking for right there. So give it a last stir, put the cover on it, and get that off the heat, because we're going to move on to bigger and better things. If you want to peel potatoes, you know, knock yourself out. Take, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds of potatoes, and you can slice them up. You know, peel them, and then slice them into like, I don't know, 1-inch pieces or so. We'll see what I do here. There you go. You know, about that size. And then you would throw them in that broth and let them go for about, between 30 and 45 minutes. This is what I did. A lot easier. Just as tasty. They're already parboiled. Look at that. Boom. I opened 5 cans. I drained them out. So you can see that would have been a lot of peeling and a lot of cutting. I didn't want to do it. So I got my 5 cans, and we're going to pretend that we didn't do it this way. I'm going to clean them off, and I'm going to separate them in 2 equal parts, 2 separate colanders. Because once again, I'm making 2 separate versions. I'm doing a carnivore version and a vegetarian version. So the same thing with the onion. Normally I would just put in 1 whole onion in 1 soup. I'm making 2 separate ones. So I'm going to cut it I'm going to put a half an onion in each soup, but I'll cut it in half, and then I'll quarter it, peel it, quarter it. We'll chop it up, and I'll put that in 2 separate bowls, because now we have 1 base going, but we're going to transfer that over. So I don't know, maybe I'm talking too much at this point. So anyway, we're just going to once again do a rustic chop. So that's about the right size right there. I mean, I'm doing everything rustic. I'm doing the chorizo rustic, I'm doing the onions rustic, I'm doing the potatoes rustic, and typically you would mash up your potatoes in this soup. You would use the smashed potatoes in the soup to thicken it up. I don't do that. I do it almost like a stew, I guess. This is how my Nana always made it. You know, what can I tell you? That's the way I want it, but here you go. We got 2 separate soups going, so we got 2 separate bowls of onion. Okay, here's our base, and that's looking pretty good. There's our meat. That's looking, I guess that's looking pretty good too. But this is where we're gonna separate the veggie from the carnivore, and I'm gonna take half that base and put it in the other pan. Excuse me. And obviously, the one closest to us, where the base is now, that's going to be the vegetarian version. And the meat in the back, it's going to be the same thing, only it has meat in it. So it's going to also has all those juices from the chorizo. So it's going to have a different flavor. So I'm going to go half and half. I cover them up, just let them go a few minutes, because the vegetarian one doesn't really need to sit there, but the other one did, with the chorizo in it. And I'm going to take that half an onion that's been chopped up and put it in the veggie version. And then that's a carnivore onion right there. You can tell by the way it's cut. And that's going to go in the back. And see, at this point, we're doing the same thing to both of them. And like I said, it's just, you know, one has meat in it, one doesn't. I have 1 spoon for the vegetarian one, and I have a different spoon for the carnivore one. Most of you watching this, if you're going to make it, you're going to make the back one. Most people eat meat. So all you would have done is, you could have fried up the chorizo and just put it in the 1 pan of soup. You don't have to split it like this. This is my life. This is not your life. You know, like I said, we have 4 adults in this house. 2 are veggies, 2 aren't. Everybody loves this soup. So I make 2 different versions. There's the half of potatoes that I diligently peeled and cut into perfect little round new potato looking pieces. And moving down here is the vegetarian version. And that's going to get the other half of those potatoes. You know, luckily I have 400 colanders and bowls and things hanging around the house. And like I said, you would have just put all those potatoes into one if you were just making one. We're not in this video. So you can pick either one, or you can do this too. I mean, I don't know how many people out there are like me and, you know, live my life of the 2 separate dinners almost every single day. The veggies eat seafood. That's why the seafood videos is just 1. And if we're doing chicken, the vegetarians don't eat. We let them, they have to starve. I'm one of them. But there you go. Now we stirred up the star of the show, kale. It's not called kale soup for no reason at all. We have kale, and I got a full bag here. You can buy the fresh kale, the bushels, and just get 2. And you're going to use 2. You can put 2 in one soup, or you can just put 1 in one. I'm using a bag of organic. It's just easier. I put half a bag in, sorry for that popping. I put half a bag in one colander, and we're going to clean that up. I'll put the other half of the bag in another colander, because I got to make sure I dirty every single dish in the house when I'm cooking. There you go, and we'll wash that off. That's my water filtration system in the back there. I love that thing. No fluoride, chlorine. The taste is phenomenal. See that cutting board in the back? It says Cox. You saw it at the beginning of the video too. Good friends of mine, Julie and Rick. They gave us that for Christmas. Wonderful people. If you notice, I don't cut on it because I don't want to ruin it. So I have cutting boards that I'm cutting on, and I use that for other things that's not going to destroy it. But here we go. This is the vegetarian kale, or just half a bag of kale. It doesn't really have a designator. I'm going to mix it in the water. It looks like a lot. Don't worry about it. It cooks down. It's kind of like cabbage. You know, cabbage wilts down. This does the exact same thing. And a little kosher salt. You know, you season in layers. And that salt's going to help the kale break down. I know when a lot of people remove the stems from kale if they're cutting their own bunches. I love the stems. Just cut them small. You know, they soften up a little bit. That's the other half of the kale going back in the vegetarian side. You see some of those stems, people don't like them. They cut them out. You know, I don't know. I think you're missing out on something. I like them once they're cooked down. I think they're absolutely fine. I like to chew to it, and you can see that wilted down quite a bit. So now the carnivores have their kale. Put another little dash of kosher salt on top of that. And those two things just need to like simmer, you know, 15, 20, 30 minutes. You can cook yourself up a nice, beautiful French baguette to go with this. Or you can do what I did and go to a store and buy a French baguette, and I just threw it in the oven and warmed it up a little bit. And this is what you get. There's the carnivore one. Excuse me, that's my rustic kale Portuguese Caldo Verde soup. It is absolutely wonderful. And here's the vegetarian version. This is the one I had for dinner that night. All my videos are what I've actually made for dinner. So there were 2 bowls of this veggie food and 2 bowls of the other one. And there you go. This is absolutely wonderful. Make your house smell great. Make your heart feel great. It's all warm and fuzzy. Guys, listen, can't thank you enough. Thanks for coming by. Subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. I really, really appreciate it. You guys absolutely rock. Hi guys, just want to say a quick thank you for watching the videos. Please subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed them. And please come back for the next one.